as those beautiful sunny drone shots of Leuven, Belgium fade into the background and out of our memories, because it is wet and wild out here on the pitches at Spring Invite 2023. Myself, Hannah Pendlebury, alongside Francis Dieterle in the booth. This fine quarter-final action lining up for us in UFO and Terrible Monkeys. Youth and athleticism versus a little bit more age experience, but also dynamic athleticism, as we saw from the Dutch side this morning. What are you expecting from this game, Francis?
I'm expecting an excellent game in pretty much all facets. I think the Terrible Monkeys, we saw they overwhelmed Bora, who were looking sluggish in their previous match on the stream. They took second in their pool, falling to Gentle, and I think they're going to try and use their wits and their quick athleticism to get some blocks on these big receivers. UFO, they've got some very strong and quick players in addition to some big, deep threats. So I think we're going to see a return to that hucking game. And as we see Terrible Monkeys marching down the field.
The inside shot from Leverkusen. And the lefty, Martin Wild, opening up that big inside backhand. You've got to watch those ones for him. He just reaches his way and just empties the pockets of the mark, really.
Terrible Monkeys just using their disc movement. I think in the previous game against Bora, we saw that they really like to have that throw and go used to gain yards. And right here we can see the lefty shaking to the side, using his length. Lanky thrower manages to open up that inside very well.
Absolutely, and the key, I think, for Terrible Monkeys in this game is really to make those offense points as short as possible. They have a much smaller roster than their opponents.
In more ways than one.
Yeah, there's some pretty big lads on this Dutch team. Shocking, I know, right, for a Dutch side that they'd have tall players. But Yashim, a favoured target. So we now see UFO coming out on offence for the first time. Van der Voorde. Had a great start to the earlier live stream game. Got a little bit looser towards the end. That one disc is loose indeed off the hands of Rowan Gerspik. Trying to find Ravi Vasudevan, but just taps his palm and drops straight to the floor.
UFO are really going to want to set the precedent that their O-line is untouchable. I think in the previous game that we saw on the stream, they let off the gas at the end. They really let Frisbee back in the game. UFO really wants to shut the door early on these offensive possessions.
Well, it's Terrible Monkeys with the disc. Lukas Wild looking around for options. Finds the reset. Slonitsky coming in. She's got... Oh, and a lack of composure there. You can see that Stopnitsky was thinking about the next pass. And a valuable chance to get a break off of UFO is squandered. On the roll, the easy reset for Vasudevan. Slight wobble on that flick. Big blade over the top. And a punctuation mark on the back of it. A nice hold for UFO in the end.
Van der Voorde has really been a focal point of this UFO offense. You can see that he's used as their primary initiation cutter, and then when he gets close to the end zone, he's really relied on as that front of the stack to get open and churn yards with his legs.
Absolutely.
They do a good job of using him. He's very agile for a big man, so a lot of times his defenders maybe not quite as quick as he is.
Indeed, the chap can turn on a dime. Currently living in, and actually originally from Groningen. But lots of decoration in terms of the Van der Voorde experience for national caps. Coming through the juniors program at both under 17 and under 20 level. But Terrible Monkeys, who have current juniors players on their squad, some 14 and 15-year-olds amongst them, looking at their next scoring opportunity. The big disc goes up after the initial fake. Going to be tracked down, 2 defenders on the back, but cannot deny Vitek Bili.
What a grab from Bili right there. The margins on that are very thin. And Bili does a great job of reading that. Going up with strong with one hand between 2 defenders.
Yeah, calm, composed. Lots of faking off that initially, and then eventually taking a relatively high stall. So maybe a bit of a sort of, you know, chuck it and hope with that double coverage on the other end. Either way, it works.
Terrible Monkeys with a short roster, only about 14 of them. And amongst those, some people who are playing their first tournament with this team.
Indeed, they're so brand new and untested. But of course, this is what we expect to see early doors in the season. Teams just coming out here to enjoy themselves and work on those connections together. Oh, that's a really good snag to snap on the disc away from the awaiting Lukasz Wild, but cannot quite redeem it on that errant parts. Can Terrible Monkeys take advantage of their second opportunity to break UFO? Going to watch the disc all the way into their hands. Obviously their previous chance was missed by Vlavac, but that's going to be a sinker into the lap and a great way to take the break.
It's an excellent throw right there. I think that one of the things I love about this Terrible Monkeys offense is that pretty much everybody knows their role. They know who's going where and when, and they really know their limits as throwers, and they're not afraid to put it. You know, the cutters, maybe it's the handler here, he holds onto the disc for a while, gives him time to scan the field, the cutter develops his cut, and boom. It's a picture-perfect deep shot right there.
Absolutely, and the pace also on the release there really just makes it so obvious to everybody, the defender included, that there's no chance of really bidding on that. You can see sort of, you know, he's a couple of steps behind, can't really do much about it.
This is the second bobble disc from Vasudevan. I can't help but wonder if Terrible Monkeys are focusing in a little bit on him, trying to complicate those resets. He's been caught off balance once or twice by his thrower.
From the border. Pops up. This is good flow from UFO. Lee. High one to Vasudevan. Pick call's going to give us a bit of a rewind on the tape. Marius van Laar on the disc. One of the pivotal shot throwers for UFO. And Van der Voorden into the end zone, just opens up the hips and uses his speed to just grind one out.
It's an excellent response from UFO's offense. Van der Voorden, as we said, is going to be a focal point of this offense. And they really trust him as a receiver. The disc is tapped in, and with no hesitation, it's just put into a space where only Van der Voorden can get there.
Yep, and we said it. Key part of the throwing mechanisms for UFO. Marius van Laar picks up another assist to his stats total for this tournament. Sadly, we're not quite blessed with full stats coverage of every single game. But I'm sure if we did have a leader in assists, he'd be up amongst them. But currently, Terrible Monkeys up that one all-important break in the early stages of this quarter-final game. Wild. Oh, lovely shot on the inside. Shiptan Bili. Rises resets. Lovely working it down the far sideline. Good continuation. Are they going to squeeze it or swing it? Big poach in the centre field. But hangs around for quite some time. Still count starting to rise. It might have to be just to chuck it and hope, but a violation's called. Perhaps some marking infractions on the sideline where the score wasn't dropped in time.
And there must have been a contact on that earlier in there because that was stall 13.5, it sounds like. Some discussion between the thrower and the mark. Looks like the violation called will return the count to 0. Give Terrible Monkeys a full reset. Try and get them off the line.
You're going to need some kind of reset or just throwing it into the deep space. Churning it down the line is the option that's taken. Martin Wild has a go at it, but that's going to be a turnover and an opportunity for UFO to take the break back. But that's great pressure, just shutting down all of the handler reset options, really forcing Terrible Monkeys to make poor choices. Cuts developing, but reset required for UFO. Terrible Monkeys showing how rapid they are with the turnover. Big attempt at the spoil from Joachim. Cuts available in the deep space. That might fade and be Furkerschaps. It is Furkerschaps. Tiny bit of a collision on the back of it, but nice spirit to make sure that the defender that attempted to get the block is okay. Vitek Billy unable to stop that one from developing, and we are back on serve.
The captain putting the team on his back. Shot had very near toe of the line grab, the back of that end zone earlier today. He just casually floats into the air. That is a mountain of a man going up high.
Absolutely. Furkershap, a highly decorated player at this point in his career. Has played with the likes of Pelt from Ireland as sort of a pickup player, but also for Gut. In fact, played World Championships with them. The player who gives back to the community as well. Under 20s open coach and involved with setting up a countrywide youth program in the Netherlands is Shap. We love to see it. But 3 apiece. Terrible Monkeys now coming out on offense. Just a little bit of a hand wipe there from the lefty, Martin Wild. Nice, easy continue up the line. Happy to just grind it towards this open side. Bealey, again, putting pressure on those resets. Really good composure there from Lukas Wild. He threw a very awkward inside. Oh, and an easy offhand dish from the paws of Jaromir Joachim for a nice smooth hold.
Even though Wild held onto the disc for a long time there, I think that he did actually a good job. The mark was moved so far over to the around that he was able to get that inside off with very little pressure. I think the Terrible Monkeys, again, they're content to be patient with their decisions. And you can see here the mark is just a little too far off. Doesn't pressure that inside enough. And Joachim just has a free look to the break side as soon as that throw goes up. I think that the key for Terrible Monkeys, if they want to win this game and advance to the semifinal, where they'll have the honor of playing Bad Skid, they'll need to punch in their breaks with efficiency. So every time that they get a turn, they're going to need to make quick work of it.
And they have been, in terms of their offensive possessions, more or less clean as a whistle. But that's a golden opportunity that has been gifted by just a very bizarre UFO error. A little slip there. Thankfully, Lukas Wild seems to be okay. Definitely a highly impactful player for Terrible Monkeys. Still count rising. Go for the inside. And the confusion there, double cutting under, trying to hit Grim, but the defender of Haldik getting in the way. So UFO gifted the disc back. Nice sitting, floating, hanging disc is going to go out of bounds.
Good pressure from Captain Tadeusz Grim. It's unfortunate that UFO didn't see that poach earlier, or the blown coverage. Grim was nowhere near the offensive player, but he was able to cover the ground after one swing. And the throw floated also, which gave him an extra shot at it, even though it was tailing out of bounds. Seems to be some discussion about where the disc is going to come back in. If Grim touched it on the way down.
I believe he didn't touch it, so it's going to come into play a couple of meters away from that front cone of the end zone. It was quite funny, actually. The offensive player had a second attempt at that one. So, you know, that just plant the toe and just fall and try and catch at the same time. Which, if that had come off, woof, we love to see it. But not to be. Nice inside flat backhand from Zaluski. Huge bomb. Grim trotting towards the end zone. He has to slow down a little bit. Great grab, great read. Now knocking on the doorstep. Can he find one of his teammates to be free? Pops it back. Slupnitsky for goal, and that is a lovely break. Terrible Monkeys put themselves a nose in front once again.
Love the way that Grim reads this deep shot. He really slows down and then accelerates back into it so that he can get the disc at the height of his jump. Here we see the shot go up. Grim reads it, he slows down, and then he jumps right back in there. Excellent grab from the captain.
And fantastic composure to just wait for the option to develop. Turns round, commits to the dump.
I have to be honest, Hannah, I thought that was going to turf. That throw looked like it was to nobody, but then the receiver just appeared out of nowhere. Visionary look from Terrible Monkeys.
Well, I think that's pulling some double duty straight away from scoring the goal to then throwing the pull. Just showing how short the roster is for Terrible Monkeys, but if they can use all their energy to say, ascend through this side of the bracket to face Bad Skid tomorrow morning. And of course, the prize of this tournament is that wild card spot into the European Championship finals. You don't have to qualify through. You'll turn up probably to warm up, but that's going to be overshot. But great eyes from behind Van der Voorde. Van der Voorde putting that one out on an absolute rope. Grim has a go at it, but a little spike just to punctuate that score. A nice slick hold for UFO, but that was some intense D from Terrible Monkeys on the shoulder for pretty much every pass, and the redemption required from Johan Van der Voorde.
Van der Voorde just giving and going, finishing off with a strike right here. And it's Marius van Laar who threw the previous one.
Yeah, those two really trying to take hold of this game for UFO. Van der Voorde previously on the receiving end of the scores. Now chucking him. But 5-4 Terrible Monkeys currently in the lead. But this is a neck and neck, really evenly matched game. Whereas the previous quarterfinal we saw on this pitch, what a pull that was. Very much went in favour of one team. Nice moves upfield. Now out of Callahan County here, Terrible Monkeys. Bealey resets the Stobnitsky. Nice and flat. Yahoo. Happy to just play up this near sideline. Travel called off the disc.
Terrible Monkeys did a good job of getting out of that situation. That pull was, well, as an offense, it's a little nerve-wracking to get the disc in that back corner right there. They did a good job of getting out. They're already at midfield.
Reznik around. Yahin with a lovely saucy break. I should tell you what, that's not a break. Unless, of course, UFO are forcing middle, which we've seen them do before. Yep, sounds like it from the echoing on the sideline. Wilt. Klausan now, oh, but just throws a really predictable one out in front. Did not have the separation. And an aerial display from UFO is going to knock that well out of bounds.
It's a beautiful D. That's Vessels getting the D right there on the open side. He makes it look like he gives the receiver an inch there, but then he just pounces on that.
Give it the old bait and switch. Focus up immediately out of the blocks. 2 meter separation, closed out well by his matchup, but not going to work quite out. Really using the full available space on the field, our UFO right now. This to get the break back. Oh, but it just tips out of the hands. Fiendiesh with a costly error.
Looks like there was a retracted call, but it doesn't affect the possession of the disc.
No, that was a bad miss, that drop. A bad miss indeed. Sort of play you watch back through gritted teeth.
It's unfortunate, it really negates a lot of the work that Vessels did on that D and the huck that followed it up to Shop. Now Terrible Monkeys just have another bite at it.
Well, this does feel like a game of inches. If Terrible Monkeys can keep the energy up, they can keep their legs underneath them, I think this one is going to trade pretty tight all the way through. Exactly the sort of games we like to see on a live stream. Field looking around, finds the underneaths. Way to keep the disc moving. Really nice flow from Terrible Monkeys. Not all frantically running around, just waiting for the options to develop, but that is an option for the defense. Developing as if it's come straight out of a photo booth, but thrown all away. Fukashap can do nothing but miserably watch it. An injury call out of Terrible Monkeys. I think that's Stepan Bili signaling, but I'm not sure. Oh, no, it is him coming off a bit of a limp there after the heavy contact. But again, a huge play from the defense of UFO.
And Hannah, I was just about to point out how patient Terrible Monkeys are and how good their spacing is. They're usually able to close out, to find that reset pretty easily around the poaches that UFO is throwing them. They're really, as we were talking to Captain Tadeusz before, Tadeusz Grimm before, and he was saying that he was content when teams were throwing poaches. It just looks like a free throw to them. They've got very solid disc skills.
Absolutely, and UFO have also been exploiting poaches extremely well. I'd say possibly a little bit better. Some of the expansive throws they've been putting over the top. The wind has disappeared again, and they have been exploiting that quite nicely. Lovely big backhand, and that is absolutely on the money for Terrible Monkeys. Couple of turnovers apiece, longer point, but it'll do in the end. Lovely shot from Martin Reznik.
That's an incredible deep shot. Showing good chemistry there. That shot is the same third. It's just straight down the line the whole way.
Absolutely. There are two players who are the elder statesmen of Terrible Monkeys. And one of them, the number 25, Martin Reznik, showing throwing prowess. Bit of a error there from Van der Voorde. Valder losing his balance and throwing nowhere near where he intended. For there, Scrim picking up an immediate pick out of a vertical stack.
What a surprise.
It's almost like when you cluster all of the players together in a line, they get in each other's way. But the speed underneath and a casual one-handed grab for Klossen. Great attempt from Lee to try and get that poach bid. That one has to be tracked down. Oh my goodness, look at the air on that! Lukas Wild, you filthy man.
What a grab from Wild, getting up over Van der Voorde, the Dutch big man. The Dutch big man making sure that he gets over the Czech big man, getting over the Dutch player right here. Look at the float on that.
It just
Excellent
feels
grab.
wrong to say the Czech big man instead of the Dutch big man, doesn't it?
It does.
So Terrible Monkeys capitalizing on the error and putting themselves within 1 point of half, and a timeout rightly taken after that ridiculous sky from Lukas Wild.
UFO, I think, similar to that game that we saw earlier today. They're not being very consistent on offense, and that's, I think, where a lot of their rhythm relies on that. Their energy relies on their O-line putting in the holes. And we've seen that their D-line is able to get blocks. Maybe they haven't capitalized on everything as much as they would have wanted, but the O-line just has to hold to keep that D-line out on the field.
Absolutely, and they were in their earlier stream game really very clinical in the early stages, so we know they are capable of putting together that quality of offense that they're going to require here to do what Terrible Monkeys gave us a fantastic display of at the opening stages of this game, just going out, punching it in, rinse, repeat. You know, step one, quick offense, step two, hard defense, step three, profit. But this is turning into quite the spicy game. Can UFO bring themselves back into it? Van der Voorde. Nice upline. Not really too much happening upfield. Vasudevan grinding towards the near sideline. Going to pop it out in front of Lee to the front cone, and that is simple stuff.
Ravi Rexpex, Vasudevan right there. Little dad, the dad backhand shown off for the point.
Yeah, Jiro Lee just grinding towards that front cone.
That's what UFO needs.
The thing is, we need to put a little bit extra on the rec specs. It's X-rec specs, Ravi Vasudevan.
Great use of the dad right there.
One of the ugliest throws in the tool set, but it'll do. So UFO hang on a little bit longer in this half, but they're going to have to go and generate some serious turns to put themselves back in front. Terrible Monkeys do have that advantage. They started this game out on offense, so UFO will start with the disc on half. They can grind it back. But at the moment, the Czech side out in front. As time ticks away.
I think I'd either like to see a zone from UFO, or I'd like to see them play a little bit tighter. I'd like to see them play a little bit more on the hip of Terrible Monkeys. They've been poaching. They've been playing these sort of half match, half clam sort of zone looks. I think if they tighten up on the resets a little bit, they'll get something. Or if they make these terrible monkey throwers just think twice about where they have to put the disc.
You can't blame them for wanting to play team help defense, though. The speed on Terrible Monkeys is undeniable. Grim looking for options. Nobody moving in front of him, more or less. He's going to have to put one into space with the face marking on the reset. And an easy punch into the center of the end zone. That is half taken with the hand of who else? Martin Wild. You can hear the energy through our headsets coming off of Terrible Monkeys, singing half-time, half-time, half-time. You can see Wild, the captain, coming through when needed.
Phil just zings that one in there, and I think that this is the weakness of UFO's help defenses. Yes, it is something that you would like to see. You don't want to see just straight match, one-on-one. Maybe zone is a little bit too much, but that help defense, Terrible Monkeys are making really strong cuts to the open side, and there's going to be blown coverage at some point. Their throwers are just very patient. They're very good at spotting those soft spots in the defense.
So second half now. UFO still coming out on offense. It's Lee in the backspace. Beautiful put, absolute magic. And that will put a bit more confidence underneath UFO as they stare up at those 2-break lead the Terrible Monkeys have over them.
Perfect shot to Lee right there. It was 2-pass offense.
Just how they drew it up.
Good job on UFO. Here we go with a replay. See the centering pass. And Lee just absolutely zooms by his defender. Look at that grab. Look at the wheels on that guy.
He is a speedy, speedy human. Make no mistake.
That was Van Laar again.
Oh, Marius van Laar, of course. But a response now from Terrible Monkeys. Wild into Bewley.
And here we see a more aggressive mark from UFO.
And it pays off, the big wingspan of Sjöderks.
That's a good aggressive mark. I think that that's the sort of defense that was missing in the first half for UFO. Let's see if their defense can punch this break in.
Well, that would be one of two that they need to put this game back on serve, but Terrible Monkeys do have that advantage starting this game on offense. Nice inside flick, just about redeemed. Not the intended target, but Dirks keeping this alive. But that just pings straight off of the palms. So much juice put on that disc to Koolmans. Wild. Great moves on the go from Klosan. Very, very close mark with big arms. And there you see the height exploited to get the block. I do half wonder, Francis, if some of these UFO marks of these very big wingspans might be a little bit closer than regulation comfort.
It's definitely something to be discussed. I think that it seems like Terrible Monkeys are comfortable with the contact so far. However, I do think that you could definitely discuss a contact call or disk space within there.
It's an interesting one because it's that whole thing of when you're feeling a bit flustered, maybe you don't have the presence of mind. Of course, nothing intentional from UFO. They're just trying to, like you say, they've raised their game on the marks, which is the big key here, just hustling that pressure, really making those options as difficult as possible. But a smart timeout call. Terrible Monkeys still leading the charge, 8-6 even. But UFO with an opportunity to make it 8-7.
UFO hopefully wanting to draw up a nice play out of their horizontal. I don't think that the player who has the disc is one of their central handlers, but they're all very capable throwers. Wouldn't surprise me too much to see a little diamond play. They've been running that one a bit from the center. Terrible Monkeys, I think they just want to force as many passes as possible. With the wind as it is, there's maybe going to be an errant throw. UFO D-line has looked a little less sharp than in the previous game.
Well, it's been the tall, young, keen line that's generated the turn. You to look at the height on the players upfield. The matches where your mark is about your shoulder height, if that. But back in play. Dressel's on the disc. I take that back, not. It's Bus. Centres back. That one's going to rise over the big man. Cannot be redeemed, but throws himself at it anyway. Great effort from Commons.
I think Terrible Monkeys got what they wanted right there. The dump from UFO was not really in flow. It didn't give them too much.
We are ending up with a left to right, as your view has it. Upwind, downwind game potentially. So advantage here for Terrible Monkeys with the lead and also the downwind offense, but that's going to be pushed down by the breeze and hit nothing but the turf as Martin Wilt expresses his frustration with his body language. But that's going to topple out as well. Fast turn taken. Plavac as the players streak through, a fall over, no contact, no call, just nothing but Jaromir Joachim gunning towards the near sideline, and that will do for Terrible Monkeys to punch their next one in.
This is a very dirty hold.
But yeah. It's about as dirty as a lot of the players probably know. There hasn't been so much full layout bids in these games, but a lot of slipping and sliding. It's going to be some base layers and trackies with many grass stains in them at the end of this weekend, I think.
I think what you noted about the wind is interesting. Terrible Monkeys, especially in that end zone set, they love that give and go, and that short pass offense is more difficult to execute actually going downwind than it is upwind, because the way that you want the disc to float in the spaces, it's just harder to put enough spin to get the disc to sit there. So going upwind, it's almost better to be going upwind when you're a small throw offense rather than a big throw.
Well, to be honest, regardless, it's really difficult to adjust your throws unless you start running an upwind, downwind line. It can actually be to your detriment when you're throwing downwind. The wind, though, seems to have disappeared as we see another shot to Lee off of the back of, not this time Marius van Laar, but Johan van der Walde. When that man is firing, UFO have a deep advantage. But Van der Walde has been a little bit up and down, I think, today. But Lee, very consistent. And a beautiful deep shot.
Excellent run from Lee. UFO really clicking on those set plays. It's nothing too difficult either. It's almost what you would expect. Vastudevan gets the centering pass, he flips it up to Van der Walde on the undercut, and then an immediate long from him.
And we're seeing some double duty being pulled now from UFO, tightening up their lines. Perhaps thinking about the fact that the winner of this tournament gets that free shot into EUCF at the end of this season. But Terrible Monkeys leading the charge, looking fairly competent. Joachim Big disc going to the end zone. Oh, what a grab! Over the top is Van der Voorde. I think he's got a tough argument to say he got it first. That did look very simultaneous. And of course, offense wins in those situations. But what's your thoughts, Francis?
On the first look at it, it definitely looks like that's an offensive possession. That's a goal. We'll take a look here on our replay. See Van der Voorde go over the top.
That looks pretty much at the same time as it could possibly be. I wonder if we can chop the frames individually. Get another look. It is difficult to get position when you're over the back like that. But yeah, you can't ask fairer than that. That is more or less the same time.
That's a goal in my mind.
Yeah.
UFO seems to agree. Good spirit from both sides to discuss that calmly.
Absolutely. UFO's players watching the replay along with us all immediately signal the score. But great battle. Lukas Wild keeping calm under hot pressure. So
he just says that so casually. He just goes up. Okay, your best deep receiver is on my back. I don't care.
Well, there's a solid argument for Lukas Wild being one of the best deep receivers on Terrible Monkeys. So but it's also the the power of youth. You don't have you don't necessarily know exactly who's breathing down your neck. Van der Voorde. But it's going to take something special from UFO to dethrone and shake Terrible Monkeys around. They have the confidence that I think is going to give them the energy and power to grind this one out. Those early doors errors from UFO perhaps giving them a sense of regret at this stage. That's going to sit and hang, but the poach off of the defense makes it too easy. Lovely movement now, flowing downfield like a waterfall. A little bit lost for options is Van Oldenburg. Pops it back down that far sideline, just squeaking it in bounds. Johan van der Voorde with the goal.
Almost getting redemption for not getting the D in that exact same corner. I was about to say it's the first time that we've seen a zone, but UFO really made short work of that. I think that they had just good vision, swung it to the opposite side of the field. A little push pass from Van Oldenburg there.
Gaspik popping it in. But it's, you've got to try different things. I think playing zone against UFO downwind, it's a controversial choice. Perhaps going the other way might have been a little bit more effective, but at the moment, Terrible Monkeys don't actually need to generate blocks. They just need to focus on holding their offense. That is the key. 10-8 the score. And we are getting towards the business end of this game. Quarterfinals here at the Spring Invite 2023.
Again, we see the forced middle coming out of UFO.
And tighten lines as well. Trying to get their best athletes out on the field to make sure that if they do force an error from Terrible Monkeys, that they have the ability to capitalize on it. Wild, nice pop forward. Real patience from Terrible Monkeys. Marish across to Joachim. Big around, it's low, but that's going to be good enough. Just shy of the goal and pops in. There's going to be an out of bounds call or possibly an injury. Goal is going to stand, signalled by UFO. But hopefully the player popping off, it looks like potentially cramp there for Wiebe van den Brink.
Yeah, fourth game of the day. You can definitely expect that the physical toll there's a toll being taken on everybody's body. What about that break from Joachim right there? That was dangerous, but he does a good job using his whole length to get out there. What a grab.
Maresh really putting his body on the line. And look at the height difference of his mark, and still yet throws another break. Yeah, the classic cramp signs. But hopefully Van den Brink will be okay and able to come back. But yeah, Terrible Monkeys still out in front, 11-8 the score. The UFO's O-line being given. And they'll take Van der Walde. Lovely, sort of behind the back almost reset. Lee puts it up and a bit too obvious and well kept as well. Great block and heads up play from Van Havic. Or Havac. But another turn generated by Terrible Monkeys. Terrible Monkeys, not so terrible at Frisbee. Quite good at Frisbee, it turns out. Not that it's a surprise.
Near
really.
D from Oldenbeck there.
Low pivot from Grim. Easy does it, but chucks it over the top. Misses Billy, but what on earth was that?
Van der Walde looking a little streaky again. He's had some hot moments. He's had some very cold moments.
He's like the Katy Perry song, isn't he? He is really hot, then cold. Yes, then no. And literally in, out, or up and down. He's shaking it all about. Grim's going to have to battle for that. Is there going to be a second effort? There is just about Lady Luck smiling on Terrible Monkeys right now. Flow down far side. Pinned to that sideline. Van der Walde really throwing his body around to put the pressure on the back of Jan Plavach. A low laser though, and a squandered effort. Turnovers are plenty in this point.
Marius van Laar, the rare turnover on his deep shot right there. I think that UFOs, when they're been clicking, their deep shots are going a little higher, especially going downwind. You don't want to laser that in there. So we see Terrible Monkeys picking up the disc again.
Well, perhaps that double/triple duty that the star top players of UFO have been pulling, it's maybe seeing them come a little bit tired out into this point, perhaps. But if you're Terrible Monkeys, you're a very happy bunch right now. Grinding this out, 8-11 UFO trail.
Discussion on the play. Looks like Van Laar goes through the back of the receiver. Some discussion about whether that actually affected the play or not. And it's been retracted.
Good chat. So Gaspik bringing us back into play. Isolation in the handler set. Nice moving around. And oh my goodness! Lukas Wild with the smackdown defense. Denial.
That was a very unexpected and decisive hand block. You could feel that in your teeth from the booth.
Tadeusz Grim is going to put a bit of a risky biscuit up. Plenty of contact there, and you can see how unhappy Lukas Wild is with it.
Wild and Van Laar having a little battle once again. Not the best shot from Grim, but he really trusts his receiver right there. I think that Wild has a good case to call that a foul.
Yeah. He certainly wasn't happy with the contact. Didn't really make a full stretch jump. Contested foul, so that's going to go back to Grim. UFO really breathing down the necks of Terrible Monkeys. Big poachers off of those far handlers, trying to encourage questionable decisions. They got hands like glue, have these Czech players. Nice around to Wild. One of two Wild brothers. And a timeout called wisely, I feel, as Lukasz Wild wants to have a chat and draw up something. Maybe an adjustment to try and sort of drive things forward without having to resort to deep shots.
I think they're just tired too. Again, you've got 7 guys running on this D-line the entire day, especially when they're probably pulling many points in a row because some of their games were not close, so they've probably played quite a few more points than the O-line. I think that they're right to call a little timeout for to have a breather, get a good set play.
They do seem to be, and it's quite nice because you can really afford to do it with a smaller roster. They have been moving people around the lines, not sort of, you know, keeping things just consistent 2 sets of 7. But you really are, in terms of, you know, it's tiring and knackering. Terrible Monkeys do have junior level or junior age players. It's not always a case of level when it's in the age bracket. Sometimes the standard and level of play is much higher than it is in seniors. But the age of these players, the youth, the fact that they will wake up tomorrow and not feel quite as bad as if they were, you know, plus 10 on their ages. But for an early season development, bringing your squad together, getting those reps in, bringing a shorter squad is really going to develop your personnel as a unit together. Bewley absolutely loses it, tries to turn around and make a redemption play, but unfortunately Sadiq is going to just watch that one go to turf.
Sort of a squandered opportunity right there. Terrible Monkeys had set up in a vert stack, and I think that UFO did one of the things that you love to see in a vert stack, which is just one-on-one defense. UFO really gets away with one right there.
And I appreciate that celebration from Van Laard, going to, as if he's going to kick spike the disc, but just letting it fall and just kicking the air. Slightly anticlimactic, but I'm here for it.
I haven't seen too many over-the-top spikes. I'm always a fan of a spike myself. As long as the disc comes out and you can pull it straight, I see no harm.
And it's not at somebody.
And it's not at somebody, like in another game, perhaps.
many games. But we're still trading. We're still trading. You've got celebrations of those scores, but this is a real just meat grinder of the second half. Just punch for punch, blow for blow. And some long old points.
Yeah, despite all of the turns, UFO coming out and getting a break in the first point of the second half, but since then, all of the offenses have been holes.
There seems to be Terrible Monkeys more or less throwing whatever they want, squeaking it down this far sideline. That is a lovely shot, fading to the soft side of the field. Tereshgrim collecting another goal. 12-9 now the score in favor of Terrible Monkeys.
Yahim normally on the receiving side of those. That's an excellent around throw. Just blading to the opposite side of the field. Hannah, I really want to highlight the fundamentals of these Czech players. They've got very good pivots. They've got solid footwork on offense and on defense. Just look at the way that they're moving. A lot of their throws aren't even that complicated. They're just stepping out nicely, making sure to get their core and all of their arm into their throws.
And giving each other room as well. I think Terrible Monkeys have come unstuck when they try and all do the same thing together, whereas they just seem to have a real good sense of where their teammates are, not dragging their defenders into spaces that other people are trying for. So UFO with it all to do, pressure on their backs. to put themselves into the top 4. Van der Alden has a go, but you can see even though his attempt, his desire is there, the disc is way too far, even for him to get to.
Terrible Monkey is going to have to work upwind. As much as there's not too much of a breeze right now, but since that first break, neither offense has managed to score upwind.
It's real gusty, is what it is. It's sort of, it disappears and then returns. Zaluski now looking around for a reset. The 15-year-old. Bit of a dad backhand there into the path of Havach. Oh my goodness, almost stumbling over. Wavach. Around to Wild. Oh, that's a big blade. Coming in to make sure there's no space for a huge layout. Johan van der Voorde just shepherding the disc out of bounds. Lee underneath. Van Ombik is available, making those deep shots. Nobody hitting the end zone now, though. Gonna have to be a high stall reset, just about squeaking it through. Fasidafen making a rare deep cut. Now back in the handler set. That's gonna be just about caught. Van Laar, disc in hand, danger, danger. Giving and going across. It's just ripped out of the sky. Huge grab. Maxim van Oldenbeek with the goal. And at long last, oh no, I take it back. That's still a hold, or is that, no,
that's still a hold.
Yeah.
We're still on serve after that first UFO break. The double number is getting it done right here. We saw the layout earlier in the point from Myers. Van Laar, and then Vasudevan. The slightly high throw collected by Van Oldenbeek.
That felt like a break, the way they had to grind that one out. Another look at that huge grab from Jesse Meyers. But just nudging our way towards the end of this match. Started at about 6:05 local time. So we're just under an hour into it. 70-minute long format. And a straight playthrough. No crossovers, no funny business. A lovely shot of our scorekeepers there. About as chilly as we are. Thank you all to the volunteers here in Leuven and across the European events for this spring invite format. Terrible Monkeys keeping their eyes on the prize, shooting downwind to bring themselves within 2 of a semi-final berth. Big shot out of Wild. Oh, just tipples out of the fingers. Jaromir Joachim puts his arm up, says, I'm really sorry. Clearly of the mantra of if you can touch it, you can catch it. But that was a big ask.
The bodies are just flying on this. And Wild puts up a speculative shot. Probably at best there's 3 defenders around Joachim right there. Almost gets that though. If Joachim had gotten that, I would say that there's a little bit of the spirit of Maradona on the field with him.
So UFO a chance to take a break here. Yells from the sideline to swing the disc across. Nice conservatism. The wind has dropped completely down. So this is a golden opportunity. If UFO want to take a deep shot, that one's going to be a bit flat and a bit low, and it's going to be toppled up by the defense, but rebound goes Van den Brink's way, and an easy goal at long last. Having waited and waited and waited, UFO grab themselves a break late stage.
And I suppose that this is the moment where we have to repeat the mantra, catch your Ds. Terrible Monkeys really just not able to close his end on there. Who's the defender? We see the shot go up.
It was a great effort. Cormans, I think. Or Crossen, sorry. Levi Crossen.
Crossen just coming down on the wrong side of that.
But UFO redeemed off a low huck. But hey, as a D-line, you've got to take chances. And when you're running out of time to bring us back to level, you have to go for some of those high risk, high reward shots. And that one is rewarded. You make your own luck in the late stages of quarterfinals.
Now Terrible Monkeys have to go upwind. They haven't scored upwind in a long time.
Well, we say upwind, it's still pretty calm out there. We're just getting gentle gusts as the breeze returns a little bit, but it hasn't been anywhere, isn't as anywhere near as feisty as it has been at points in this game. Joachim with the disc, chooses the center reset. Great rundown. This is lovely flow and chemistry from Terrible Monkeys. Looking now for the reset. Exploits Joachim. Grim burning under. Great use of the reset space around. Martin Wild, the lefty captain. Again, squeezing it down that far side. Billy, pinned by Fokker Schaap. Gonna shoot it. Flick blade into the end zone. I'm not sure who was supposed to be matching up against Martin Wild, but they are nowhere to be found on that one. 13-11 to Terrible Monkeys.
At one point, Schaap was double teaming the last cutter in the stack, managed to catch up on the mark right there, but it looked like there was another blown coverage within the stack. We see Schaap closing in on the mark. Almost touched Tadej Cream in the head right there.
Well, a high still throw for that score, but I'll tell you what, how calm did Vitek Billy look when he threw that? Like he wasn't on like, you know, probably a 7 or an 8 in the stall.
I think that they've been resetting the disc at high counts for a lot of this game. They seem pretty comfortable no matter what the stall is at. UFO have to hold going upwind now.
Well, Monkeys will be very cognizant of the power of the deep shot. A little bit of a gust there coming through though. Great defense. Jan Chlavash. Tippling the disc out of the air. Picking up Lukas Wild. Nice early movement from the center. Looking to close this game out ASAP. Chlavash. Shooting round to Wild. He's taken one of the toughest matchups possible, but good switch and bracketing from UFO. Nice around. Everyone looking very tentative, but a big spicy hammer over the top out of the hands of Lukas Wild will be good enough. 14-11 for Terrible Monkeys.
Well collected there by Matej Zalushki. It's a nice D right there. I think that Dunschern was, the throw pops up right there. Dunschern doesn't have the height to contend with the two Terrible Monkeys defenders that jump the lane.
And what a response from Terrible Monkeys. Get broken, hold, and break right back. This, it really, the big difference maker has been the first half. It's been level pegging throughout the second. Two very, very tightly matched teams.
If UFO even wants to make a run at this game, they're going to have to pull out all the stops. They're going to have a clean hold, and then they're going to have to really ratchet up the intensity on defense.
But they've been pulling tight lines all this second half to keep up with Terrible Monkeys. So they may yet run out of gas if they try and surmount a huge comeback. But they've got to fire on all cylinders. Van der Volden puts an adventurous biscuit, but that is such a grab. My goodness me.
What an amazing grab. Van der Volden does not do any favors for his receiver right there. That is blading towards the break side, and Gaspek just manages to get the little baseball slide layout right there.
And rightly so, celebrating while he's still on the ground. Well, I tell you what, if you want to inject a little bit of nitrous oxide into your teammates, that is the way to do it. Rousing stuff. But Terrible Monkeys, game point number 1.
Well, that's one for UFO. I think if they get the turn, especially since they've stacked the line right here.
And they're running down that really nice upwind pull. But composure has been the name of the game. At no point have Terrible Monkeys looked really phased. That one's going to bobble over the top, but redemption underneath from Marish. Grim. An error. Gifting the opportunity. Van Oldermeek trotting away, looking over his shoulder. Ever dangerous in the deep spaces, that man.
I'm going to call a break from UFO right here. I think that they're feeling good. They've got some of their top players out here.
Well, let's see what happens. Lots of tussling in the middle space. Leosh with the long arms. Van der Volden just trying to squeeze up line. Oh, a little bit of a piece there maybe on the mark. But that's going to bounce over the top. Great effort from the defense, smacking it down just to make sure Panzer Marish doesn't really want to carry on playing defense. And Captain Wilt will get this back underway.
I'm going to have to swallow my words on that one.
It's okay, you just want to keep watching this game, and I don't blame you. It's been such a pleasure to watch this second half. Is it going to finish? Hasta pronto. Grim in the end zone, the captain with the goal to see Terrible Monkeys into semi-finals, and what a way to finish.
Congratulations to Terrible Monkeys. Coming out with the win right there, despite some of the defensive pressure that UFO was mounting. Just an excellent game from the Czechs. Excellent game overall.
I think it's the looseness of UFO. They have a bigger roster, which should work in their favor, really, but their connections early stages were a little bit shaky. A couple of opportunities, they really gifted the disc too many times to Terrible Monkeys. It wasn't always converted, but it just gave them that confidence that they could generate turns. And that little bit of extra something, especially in athleticism for the young juniors on this Terrible Monkeys side, gave a real great edge.
All right, last comments. Hannah, who's the MVP of this game?
Oh, that's such a difficult question. I think Lukas Wilt had a really good midsection of the game. So I'm gonna go, no, actually, take it back. Jan Hlavaš for Terrible Monkeys. He had such a good game on both sides of the disc, generating blocks and actually really making a big difference with throws. It's easier to say Lukas Wilt because of his aerial prowess. But yeah, I'm going to go Jan Hlavaš. How about you, Francis?
I was going to say Tadeusz Grim, leader of the D-line. I think that similar to Hlavaš, he had some plays, you know, like running downfield that maybe not standout moments, but he was really just a force behind the disc and an emotional leader for the D-line.
Absolutely, and credit where credit's due for UFO, ULTI, just mega consistent. I don't think he really did any wrong footing at all during that game. Really reliable and dependable for UFO. I think they had some of their big star players, maybe again having a bit ups and downs, maybe trying to ride momentum, ride emotion, but the consistency wasn't quite there. The star plays were. Looking at Rowan Gusbeek there, celebrating that huge clutch grab at the end. But Terrible Monkeys keeping the energy high, but themselves nice and calm and cool. So that's going to wrap us up here for our live streaming today, but don't you fear, we'll be back again tomorrow morning. First thing, 9 AM sharp local Central European time. We're bringing you semi-final action all day long. Although a little bit of Pool E at the beginning. Hard to Fish versus XVI opening us up tomorrow, as far as the European Ultimate Federation schedule currently says. Then we'll have semi-finals and the finals coming through. But it's been an absolute pleasure to bring you this coverage all day long in a slightly drizzly, slightly rainy in parts Leuven here in Belgium. But we're going to wrap us up. Thank you very much for joining. Tune in first thing tomorrow. We're going to go get warm so we can feel all of our various appendages once more. For Hannah Penelbury, for Francis Dietrich, for all of the hard-working, tireless ULTI.TV crew, we will see you on the other side.
ULTI.TV.
Other than the stuff outside of our control, rain, power going out, everything was so slick. It was well good. Commentary, production, it was just so slick. Nice job. Well, we thought it was going to be a day from hell, but it was alright.
Alright, thank you so much for last game. It was a tough one. I think most teams had already had enough. 4 games a day is I think the 4 games
Roger designated